And now, coming to you live from Huntsville Attic, it's Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. And here's your host, Rockin Robbie.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. I am your host, Rockin Robbie, here on the Pop Culture Philosophers YouTube channel. Thank you guys for listening. And that theme song, I want to thank Flux, Capacitor, Overdrive for preparing it, for letting us use it. Thank you guys for listening here on this YouTube exclusive show, Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. And tonight we're going to be talking about lies and fish. Lies and fish. And with me, as usual, my Jumpin' and Jivin co-host. Watch out, because he might just wail away. It's Jumpin' and Jivin James!
Hey! What's up, guys?
Chillin', James. How you doing here, man?
I'm doing pretty awesome. I mean, it's all about fish tonight.
All about fish and lies.
And lies.
And lies.
Well, I mean,
speaking of
talking about fishing, you're lying.
Already lying.
That's right. Speaking
to
of
the audience.
Speaking of lies, also with us is Hammertime Holshoe. Woo! How you doing, John?
Gave myself a clap.
That's good. You can clap
not
yourself.
the clap, not the clap.
Oh man, I thought you weren't I didn't clap for myself. I thought it was supposed to be.
Well, it is frowned upon, but you can.
Yeah, no, I do it.
Also with us, Justified Justin.
I gave myself a clap.
Quit
just like
copying
Jonathan.
me, dick.
Just like Jonathan. I called you Jonathan.
Oh. So, guys, we're talking about lies and fish. So the first bit of that is lies. But first, let me tell you real quick. This has been in the making for what, John? Like maybe 15 years or something right now.
Oh, yeah.
We're at Baskin Robbins one night. I believe it was.
Or is it TCBY?
TCB, taking care of business and yoga.
yoga.
But anyway, we're doing one of those things. And it's like free scoop night or something like that. And there's a Petco right next to it. And it says Petco Supplies and Fish. But the SUPP was not lit up. So it just said lies and fish. And I'm like, at least they're being honest. And so that phrase has always stuck in my head, lies and fish. Of course, fish stories, like that story you tell, like, oh, I caught a fish this big. So lies and fish seem to go together to me. So I want to ask you guys, what is the biggest lie that you've ever told? Or at least the biggest lie that you've ever told that you are safe enough to speak about now? Maybe if you have a bigger lie. I don't know. Jumpin' and Jivin' James.
Oh, dude, I totally don't lie.
So I guess that's
so.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I sat and I tried to think about it, and like, I don't think I have any big lies. Other
Wow.
than, like, I mean, I used to mess with people when I lived in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Because they'd ask me about how growing up on the farm was, and I would totally tell them how awesome it was.
Well, that counts.
And,
you never went out for a night and had a British accent all night long. I've done that.
No, I've never done that. No.
It's kind of fun. It's a good social experiment, That's my excuse. All right. Safe answer, James. Hammertime Holshoe, what about you? What's the biggest lie you've ever told?
I actually wrote one down because I was talking about this ring or whatever, but then I came back to another one. My buddy Joe and I are in Michigan. We're at a nightclub, and this guy walks over with this lady. He's like, hey, aren't you so-and-so? To my friend Joe. And I was like, dude, this guy looks like he's loaded. Just go with it. So I convinced my buddy Joe to go with it. So we go with it, and we end up talking to this guy for a while, and he brings up his friends, and we had this big party going, and then we go back to their house, and they're having a party, and then it spiraled out of control because this guy was a fucking psycho. But we just pretend like we knew him, and we both pretend we went to the same gym as this guy. We never knew this guy. And he's just trying to impress this girl he was with, obviously, this young lady. And it got really weird, man. He started threatening us.
Weird.
It got so weird.
He started threatening you after he found out that you weren't that...
No, we never did find that out.
Why did he start
For
threatening
some
you?
reason, we're all at the nightclub. We're all drinking, having fun. He's like, let's go back to my place. So this group of people go back there. And then his idea is, this is what we're going to do, is we're going to listen to Dark Side of the Moon and watch Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, yeah, that's fucking original, right? and people are pretty much leaving at that point in time. But the lie is still going. We keep getting this lie going. Apparently, he was this computer guy, this computer expert. Except he was trying to show us online, and he couldn't even get connected to the internet.
That's funny.
Yeah, and it just... and then Joe was talking shit about him. Joe's like, man, I think this guy's full of shit over it. And the guy overheard, and the guy started shit with Joe. It was so awkward.
Speaking of awkward, what about you, Justified Justin? What's the biggest lie you've ever told?
Still just this story.
There's so much more to
Was
it.
his house nice?
Not really.
So he had less money than you previously thought.
Yes.
man.
It was all a he was a BSer. We were BSing him.
Well, I don't
Well,
think
I guess you can bullshit a bullshitter.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything like that. I was actually going to do what James did.
Be original.
So like, I don't lie. And now to answer your question, what I just said. Now, I'm pretty sure it's probably something I broke when I was a kid and said I didn't. But
Okay.
the one that I can remember is when I wrecked my first car. Not my first car, but the first car that I wrecked.
How many cars have you wrecked?
I didn't wreck my first car.
How many vehicles have you?
The first RX-8 I had,
Okay.
I wrecked. And when it was a really long, convoluted story because I wrecked it on the way back from lunch on a Saturday when I worked at Fiscal when we were still out in the country.
Oh, we didn't have much staff on Saturday either.
Yeah, it was just me.
Oh.
and I wrecked like 150 yards from the office. And it was like 80 degrees that day, 80 or 90 degrees. So me and Andrew was with me. And we walked back up to the office to cool off for a second after I called insurance. And walked back down. No more than 15 minutes later, the car was gone. Like, just gone. And come to find out, a cop had pulled up like right as we were walking in the office, saw it, assumed some kid stole it, and took a test drive, wrecked it, and ran away. So they just had it towed. So I had to call the police station, get them. The officer came back out and took the statement or whatever. That's all irrelevant to the lie, though, because I just told the officer that I lost traction and wrecked. But
okay.
I was, in fact, going about 40 miles an hour around that curve.
Yeah. Okay.
You probably should have went with the lie that, someone did steal my car. I've been looking for it.
The biggest lie I've ever told that I can think of, when I went into 4th grade, the very first assignment, the first day of school, was to draw a picture of your summer vacation, like of your summer, right? And I didn't know what to draw. I mean, I could easily have drawn a baseball diamond, or me watching fucking, cartoon DuckTales on TV or something. Mm-hmm. But instead, I drew pyramids because I just liked drawing pyramids at the time. So I drew pyramids, and then they were like, "So your family went to Egypt?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah." So I had this whole lie, and the teachers had to have known that I lied this entire year because I would tell the kids these crazy stories, like straight from Indiana Jones. Like, "Oh yeah, they took us into the pyramids and we had to like duck because these spears came out. We set off a trap and all this, and like totally ridiculous." But that whole lie, I'm like 9 years old. It went for the whole school year.
I thought went through 10 years. High school, I'm still telling the same fucking pyramid lie.
The very next year, someone in my 5th grade class was like, "Robbie went to Egypt with his family." And they're like, "Really?" The new teacher was. And I was like, "No, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. That was just a picture I drew." It was too much, it was just too much to handle.
You're like, the lie must stop here.
Yeah, the lie must stop.
I had one like that. I told everybody in my class that my dad was part of the team that recovered the rocket from the ocean that's over on the interstate near Ardmore.
Then why did you
it's
say
not
that?
even a real. You made me think
It's not
of
even
it.
a real rocket.
It's not even a real rocket.
That's awesome. So that's some lies, and now let's get to some fish. First of all, what are fish? What are they, guys?
They're food. They're delicious food.
Well, it goes, okay.
They are snacks that swim in the ocean or lake by themselves.
A fish is any member of a group of animals that consist of all gill-bearing aquatic craniate animals that lack limbs with digits.
So they have fins?
Yeah, the fins. That's
And
a fancy
gills.
way of saying they have fins and gills. The earliest organisms that can be classified as fish, they were soft-bodied chordates that first appeared during the Cambrian period, and although they lacked a true spine, they possessed notochords, which allowed them to be more agile than the invertebrates at the time. Fish would continue to evolve through the Paleozoic era, diversifying into a wide variety of forms, and many fish during this time developed external armor to protect them from predators. And the first fish with jaws, I like that. The first fish with jaws appeared during the Silurian period, after which many, such as sharks, jaws.
I thought Jaws wasn't a fish. I thought they were...
What?
I thought sharks were something...
Sharks are totally fish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dolphins aren't
So-
fish.
Yeah. Well, at that point, when sharks started coming around, a lot of fish started becoming predators rather than just prey of arthropods, because that's what it was back then. They are cold-blooded, meaning they can allow their body temperatures to vary as ambient temperatures change, though some of the large active swimmers, like the white shark and the tuna, can hold a higher core temperature. They're abundant in most bodies of water. They can be found in almost all aquatic environments, from high mountain streams all the way down to the darkest, deepest parts of the ocean. And there are over 33,000 describe species of fish, and they exhibit greater species diversity than any other group of vertebrates. I thought that was pretty interesting. And of course,
learned a lot today.
A lot of people eat them. They are
Yes.
a major source of food
Yeah.
for the world and very important to the development of humanity, right? During our evolution, once we started eating meat, fish was probably some of the easiest stuff they could find. A lot of countries, especially like Asian countries and island countries, still have a huge fish diet. And of course, overfishing is a big issue right now in the world that we're still trying to combat and take care of. What do you guys think about fish, James? Jumpin and Jivin?
Man, yeah, fish are awesome.
They taste good. Right?
I cut them up all the time.
Yeah, that's your profession is to cut up
I
fish.
have to break down whole fish into the portions to sell all the time. It's
Nice. You ever just bite into one like Bear Grylls, just like for the fuck of it?
No, because they're not always scaled yet.
Oh, okay. Well, he doesn't care, right? I mean, we've seen
Yeah.
it, you know.
Can you eat the scales?
No, you have to descale them.
Yeah, you cook it, but like, can you eat them?
No, it would be like eating a whole bunch of fingernails.
Well, who's never done that? Speaking of eating fingernails, what do you think about fish Hammertime Holshoe?
I'm more excited to hear the next thing you were talking about, which is the tartar sauce story. how that started. No, I like fish, man. I think they're cool creatures. They are delicious. I guess it's healthier than eating red meat, but I guess there's a high mercury.
Yeah, that's
now.
one of the things about the when they tried to switch everybody to eating large amounts of fish, which also led to the overfishing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of particular fish that people love to eat that are considered like high dollar.
Yes.
That have higher mercury content.
Right,
Like
because
swordfish, for instance.
and tunas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What it is the bigger the predator fish, they eat the smaller fish, so they eat a whole bunch of small fish that have a little bit of mercury in them, and then all the mercury builds up in them.
And that's how a fish bill becomes a fish law. Speaking of fish law, Justin, thoughts on fish?
I like them.
Did you ever have a fish tank? I did. I love fish tanks. Like watching them, I can watch them for
Yeah,
hours.
I do. Yeah, we had a big, probably like a 4 foot wide by 2 or
Nice.
3 foot tall fish tank when I was a kid. I want to have a big fish display in my house. I do think that fish are, other than certain varieties of humans, the most aesthetically pleasing creatures on the earth.
Oh, they're beautiful, man.
Are you saying you want to bang a fish?
Well, now,
I think he is saying that he is indeed a gay fish.
They make walls out of fish tanks in restaurants to look nice. So, I mean, they're obviously pretty.
very
They
obviously
also
pretty.
make them to hold the fish.
Yeah, you don't
before
see
they
like
eat them.
hamster tanks at restaurants.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, it's time for a new segment, so take a dive with me. It's time for Fancy Fish Facts. Here we go. John Hammertime Holshoe with the flying fish.
The flying fish, known as the Goldsmith is Justin. No, that's not true. I made that up. The flying fish, or Exocetidae in Latin, are a group of fish who appear to fly. Honestly, when I played Mario Brothers as a kid, remember there was those flying fish that would leap? I thought
Yeah.
that shit was fake.
1-3.
Yeah.
Level
No.
World 1-3.
There was real flying fish. So they're actually they have wing-like fins that allow them to self-propel, leap out of the water into the air. This ability is a natural defense to evade predators. So they're not just flying for shits and gigs. They're doing it. They've adapted over the years to jump out of the water to avoid predators. The problem is these aquatic predators are still underwater. Eventually, they're going to have to go back in the water. So I think they're eventually still going to get.
And it opened them up to a whole new predator, right? Like, don't birds pick them
now
out?
you're gonna
Like,
you're gonna fly out. And
birds are like,
people-
you're doing it for us. You're like,
yeah, and there are people that fish by just like waiting for them to jump out and just scooping up with a net.
yeah.
So they're found all over the world. They were commercially fished, though, in Japan, China, Vietnam, Indonesia, and India. And Barbados, which is known as the land of the flying fish, that is their national symbol, one of their national symbols of the country, Barbados. But, again, there's some areas that obviously they commercially fish them, but there's been some issues with some areas overfishing them. But they are, I guess they're supposed to be pretty delicious, and they're pretty lean, even for a fish, because of their petite size, and they're very muscular. It gives them that flying ability.
They're very lean with all that cardio from all that jumping.
Yeah.
Into
And
the
they
air.
jump out of the water. I think they're cool as shit.
The
man.
Mario ones were not very lean.
Yeah, and they weren't very accurate. They don't look anything
They
like
did not
that.
look very aerodynamic.
Yeah, I don't think they could jump out of the water if they look like that. 'Cause they look like puffer fish with wings.
Yeah.
But I think they're awesome. I think as far as fish go, they're pretty neat.
Speaking of pretty neat, you are pretty neat, and thank you very much for that fantastic flying fish fancy fish facts.
Yeah.
Now let's get back to lies. One of the most famous lies, period, one of the most famous fish stories, if you will, is Watergate. Watergate. Are we actually... Did anybody here... You guys remember Watergate, right?
No.
I was there.
If you don't know, it's a major political scandal. It
He was
occurred...
deep throat.
It was when good old Tom Hanks called it in, right?
That's right. That's right.
What was that? Charlie Wilson? What movie is that?
No,
That's Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Gump.
Forrest
He's
Gump.
staying
He's like,
there.
I don't know what. It looks like someone's in the building over there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So in the 70s, in the U.S., there was a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters at the Watergate office complex in Washington, D.C. So Watergate, in fact, has nothing to do with a gate nor
Or
water,
water.
which disappointed me and Kevin Costner. Like, for sure.
Or salad.
Of course, this involved... President Richard Nixon's administration's their attempted cover-up of their involvement in the break-in. The term Watergate, of course, has come to encompass an array of clandestine and often illegal activities undertaken by members of the Nixon administration. So there's a whole lot more. Those activities often included such dirty tricks as bugging the offices of political opponents and people of whom Nixon or his officials were suspicious. Nixon was a very, very paranoid man, and his close aides and him also ordered investigations of activist groups and political figures using the FBI, the CIA, and the IRS in the process. The scandal led to the discovery of multiple abuses of power by the Nixon administration, and an impeachment process against the president started that led to articles of impeachment, but then, of course, Richard Nixon resigned before that happened. The scandal resulted in the indictment of 69 people, with trials or pleas resulting in 48 being found guilty, many of whom were very high top administration officials under Nixon's presidency. John, what more can you tell me about Watergate, and in particular, why the cover-up? What were they after? How all that happened?
Well, honestly, it was the initial how they got caught. You're right. Was they were wiretapping offices at the Democratic National Committee office that was in the Watergate complex that's attached to the Watergate Hotel. So they got for some reason, I guess they had initially wiretapped it, and then one of the wiretaps wasn't working, so they had to go back in and break again. And it was the second time was when they got caught. But apparently they had a bunch of things going on. The committee to re-elect the president, which was CREEP. Really,
That's crazy.
Stands for. So they had this committee that did a bunch of not appropriate things. Now, honestly, a lot of this stuff was not enacted by Nixon, but when Nixon found out about it, he helped either cover it up or helped block investigation by the FBI. I mean, he wasn't being proactive at getting it corrected. But I don't think, honestly, till this day that he initiated it. That was done by the folks at CREEP.
Yeah.
But again, he wasn't helping the situation. He really did when the CIA after the initial founding. So the burglars go to court, and this guy McCord wrote a letter to the judge saying that the White House, the Republicans in the White House officials knew all about it, that they were fully aware of this. It wasn't some secret thing, that they, wasn't just them on their own stealing secrets and bugging people, etc. This was a White House thing. And believe it or not, whether you think that's true or not, Nixon, later on, Nixon, let's backtrack a little bit. Nixon recorded everything because of his paranoia. He recorded everything in the Oval Office. Reel to reel.
Including telling people to cover stuff up.
Yes, including that. Well, when it was leaked that the White House knew about this, and that when the FBI started their investigation and the CIA was ordered to block the investigation by the White House, which is suspicious in itself, you're using one against the other. These two hands of the U.S. law enforcement should be cohesive and work together, not work against each other. But so they found out about these tapes, and they said, hey, we want these tapes for evidence. And they're provided tapes, but the tapes were missing days and tapes were missing times because the White House had destroyed some of the tapes. Red flag there, man. Big red flag. So those tapes, the tapes themselves are kind of what sunk Nixon's ship. And you're right, he never was actually impeached, but they were going to impeach him, so he went ahead and resigned. And
he was still going to be faced with federal charges,
yeah,
right?
They said even though we can't impeach him, he's no longer president, he could still be charged with criminal activity and be, go to jail for that. And then, of course, he was pardoned by Ford, not the auto company, the president.
Yeah. The worst Ford in American history.
And that actually kind of dicked over Ford's chances of getting reelected or getting officially elected.
Plus his complete and utter inefficient style of governing.
Well, that's not helping situations, but he just looked. I mean, that hurt. That was a big part of.
Plus he fell off that podium that time. And Chevy Chase. Well, remember when he won the first presidents parodied by SNL?
Yeah,
and
it
Chevy
was
Chase?
just pure slapstick, falling out all over the place. And I think the biggest kind of irony of the whole thing, though, is one of the main things that they were trying to steal was the psychological report of the candidate he was running against. So, he got in all this trouble for something he never used. Because he easily won. There was, no reason to even try to dick the guy over at all.
Yeah, Richard Nixon was a very paranoid
man. It was
man.
a landslide.
Yeah, he consolidated and held on to power. He did not trust anybody. Any kind of dissenting of opinion or voice, he would target with a ferocious, vengeful anger and wrath.
Sounds really familiar.
Oh, does it? Yeah. I think we really can stand to go back to the Watergate era and rethink some things. I don't know. The nation was divided at the time, like it always is, but not quite like it is today. But I mean, it was a big deal, and I'm not saying anything bad about any other administration, but I don't think he was the only administration who ever done anything shady.
Oh, of course not.
And it also doesn't take away from the fact of some of the good that Nixon's administration accomplished,
getting us out of Vietnam,
eventually,
yeah,
and restoring relations with China.
Yeah,
bit,
no, Nixon did a lot of good things for America. It's just that his position to stay there may have not been the most scrupulous things, and he denied it up until his passing that he was guilty of anything. That being said, those tapes say otherwise, or the missing tapes. When there's missing tapes of something you record every day, that's really kind of suspicious.
Hot take: I think Nixon killed Kennedy, not physically, but had it.
You honestly believe that, but I mean that's a legitimate theory, straight up.
No one makes Nixon look like a fool on TV.
Remember when Nixon's head got reelected to president? Anybody watch Futurama?
Yes.
Our resident chef here at PCP, that would be Jumpin' and Jivin' James, is going to tell us a little bit about the fish stick. Stick. Wait.
Did you say fish sticks?
Sticks.
Sticks?
Sticks.
Okay.
Do they?
I think I can clear up this
those?
pan situation.
The renegade fish sticks.
We were at SeaWorld once with the band, and the sea mammals totally have those, but do the fish?
Okay, so the fish stick originated in 1929 when they invented the plate froster, which is basically just a big metal slab that's super cooled so it can freeze things quickly. And when you want to freeze things quickly on that thing, it's best if they're in a slab rectangular format. So they could freeze the big block of fish, cut it into the pieces, bread them, and then fry them.
Yeah.
And the whole process is actually done with machines. Fish slides in, it gets filleted by one machine, then it slides over to another machine, takes the skin off, and then it all gets pushed into a big block and frozen on the thing, and then cut into the pieces and then fried or baked, however you get yours.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, okay.
And they're fish sticks in the U.S., but in the UK they are fish fingers, and they started there in the 1950s.
I remember that from a Doctor Who episode because it's fish fingers and custard. Yeah,
with chips.
God damn it.
Yeah, and and they've tried to make it out of other things other than cod, but usually doesn't work well.
Fish sticks are obviously, I don't know if they still are, but when I was a child, they were very, very popular with children. And it's an easy way to feed children. It's cheap. It's fish.
In the UK, it's much like chicken fingers are in the US.
Yeah. Okay. And they eat a lot more fish there probably than a lot of Americans.
Yes, because they are an island country.
Absolutely. Dude, that's awesome. Fish sticks. I mean, did anybody else here eat fish sticks a lot growing up?
I did. Are they like McNuggets? Or I'm sorry, brand names. Nuggets, where it's pieces of fish pressed in a patty, or is it actually a slice of fish? Or can it be both?
What it is they once they skin and debone and everything, they kind of pile them up and freeze them into a block, and then that block is cut.
Okay, so there might be some overlay.
There might be multiple pieces of fish, but it's not
But it's not ground up.
Yeah, it's not like fish toes.
Yeah, it's not like
fish don't have toes.
Not like the bad
or dicks.
Or fingers.
Chicken nuggets where it's a weird paste of stuff.
Yeah, it's not a pink paste that.
But fish sticks and tater tots. I remember that lots of nights.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
And not too long ago, just a handful of years ago, like fish sticks and like French fries or something like that was like still something that me and my lady ate like all the time. She puts lemon on her fish sticks, and that was weird to me. I didn't do that. I remember eating
Trying to fancy up the fish stick. That's interesting.
I eat them with like hot sauce, and like mustard and stuff like that. You know, I used to when I was a kid. I ate them with ketchup. Yeah,
I used to not like fish sticks when I was a kid because the first time that I remember my mom making them at home, I thought they were cheese sticks, and I bit into it.
Oh yeah,
I was like, "What is this? What is this?"
that's gotta be terrible.
No.
I mean, I didn't like get sick or anything, but I was just upset that it wasn't cheese sticks because those are delicious.
Yes, cheese sticks are delicious.
I remember in junior high going through the line, getting my fish sticks and my fries because that was the lunch for the day, and my chocolate milk, and sitting down, and we had to fight for seats. There was never enough seating in my lunch for some reason. So I fight for my seat, and I sit down and like, fuck, I didn't get any tartar sauce. So I remember forcing these dry ass, they were just like the worst thing by themselves, and it was just the worst.
Especially if they're from the school.
Yeah, the school ones were terrible.
I used to like them.
Government.
There's very little fish in some fish sticks. There's more breading, but I like crispy, crunchy breading. Like that's what I like more about fish sticks and chicken fingers than the actual meat inside.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
And
All
cheese
right,
sticks.
dudes. Lies and Fish. That was a great segment. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're still with us. We're about to take a quick break, but first, it's time for the question of the day. Yeah. Woo! Today's question of the day: if you were a type of sushi, what type of sushi would you be? We will answer that when we get back from this break. This break, as usual, as always, brought to us by Corn Bits Cereal. He's got the Corn Bits. Yeah. I won that one.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
He got the corn bits, yeah.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
We're getting the corn bits.
He's got the corn bits, yeah.
Who couldn't use more corn in their diet? Try our crisp and refreshing cereal, Corn Bits. They taste delicious and they're fun to play with.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. And tonight, everything is about lies and fish. And I kid you not, I am not lying. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups, and I am your host for the evening. With me, as usual, is Jumpin' and Jivin James. Woo!
What's up?
What's up? Hammertime Holshoe.
Woo, what's up?
Woo, what's up? And Justified Justin.
Howdy.
Howdy. Yeah, we didn't quite do the woos that time.
Ah,
yeah.
man.
Everybody, we've already done the woos and all
Yeah,
that
we don't
stuff.
need woos.
But lies and fish. Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Woo! Before we went on the break, I asked the question of the day. If you were a type of sushi, which type of sushi would you be? Hammertime Holshoe.
California roll.
Bland, boring.
Yeah, bland,
Obvious.
boring, not very scary. It's like the obvious. It's like, oh, you don't like sushi? Try this.
Yeah.
This would be fine for you. So
Okay.
that's kind of me. Just kind of like not very imposing. Just
Yeah.
sort of,
Okay.
That's me.
Okay. What about you? Jumping and Jivin James.
I would totally be a spicy tuna roll.
Spicy tuna roll. Spicy tuna roll. Spicy tuna roll. Woo! Woo!
That was his junior high nickname, by the way. Was Spicy
Yeah,
Junior.
it was. I was
Spicy
there.
tuna roll.
Yeah. All the kids at Chapman were like, spicy tuna roll in the house. Did you go to Chapman?
Man, no, I went.
Yeah, you went to AAA or whatever, didn't you?
I did not go to AAA.
You went to AFLCS? What
I
is
went
it?
to
Yeah.
the Academy for Science and Foreign Language.
Oh, yeah, okay. So
Well, actually, no. I mean, I went to Davis Hills. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
dog.
I went to Stone Middle School, by the way. Justin, do you know that? Justin, what
Yeah.
type of sushi would you be?
I would be seared peppercorn ahi tuna sashimi. Because it's got a
So
nice
you
dressing
didn't
on
really
the
answer
outside.
the question. That's sashimi, dude.
It's sushi. That's
But
kinda
inside it's
sushi.
full of shit.
Yeah, there's the rolls are different kind, whatever. Yeah, that's what I'd be because it's got the nice looking dressing on the outside. It's nice, spicy and flavorful, and it's raw on the inside.
Nice. Okay.
Raw.
I'd be a rainbow roll.
Nice.
Yeah.
I see that.
I like them a lot. I love them. You know.
They do have a nice presentation.
Yes. Yes. So it's colorful, nice presentation. There's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you do a lot of peacocking. I see that.
Okay. All right, and moving on with our Lies and Fish episode, let's get to another fancy fish facts. I don't know what I'm
Can't
gonna
do that in like post.
I don't know what I'm gonna do in post, so I'm just kind of trying to help me along.
laying it out there, get the ideas started.
Justin, justified he is, like Timothy Oliphant, is going to bring us a report on, believe it or not, the fish, the seahorse.
Yes, indeed. I had to verify this for myself. Seahorse is the name given to 54 species of small marine fishes in the genus Hippocampus. Interesting name in itself. Hippocampus comes from the ancient Greek word hippos, meaning horse, and campos, meaning sea monster. So, first time you hear hippocampus, the first thing I thought of was the part of your brain, hippocampus. So apparently you've got a crazy
Horse sea monster?
crazy horse sea monster in your brain.
I thought of a really Jumpin college.
Hippocampus. I see. Seahorses are mainly found in shallow, tropical, and temperate waters throughout the world. They live in sheltered areas among like seagrass beds, estuaries,
Bears.
coral reefs, seagrass bears, coral reefs, and mangroves.
Mangroves?
John is familiar with the mangrove.
There are some species that live in the Mediterranean Sea, and some colonies have even been found in European waters, such as the Thames estuary. I'm not going to go through everything about this. They've got really interesting mating stuff. They do like this big dance, and it's really cool to listen or to imagine.
I don't
it.
like that hand motion you're making, dude.
They spiral up through the water while they're doing stuff, and then
What kind of music do they
Was
listen
that on
to
Blue Planet
when
or
they
something?
dance?
I think I've seen that
It's
somewhere.
Probably. It seems like it'd be something from The Little Mermaid, but a more educational version of The Little Mermaid. One of the more interesting things, obviously, also after they mate, the female puts all the eggs in a built-in sack that the male has, and then the female pretty much just goes away, and he has the kids, and when the kids pop out, there's usually between 100 and 1,000.
Holy shit!
So lots of seahorses, but they're
Seahorse
also
eye.
seahorse eye. But they're used for so many things, especially in China. They use it for a lot of medicinal purposes, like
They do.
Of course.
yeah, it primarily impotence
Like,
No,
it's
I
fake
think that's
medicine.
what everything
Yeah,
is
it's fake medicine
over
like
there.
tiger blood or whatever.
and CNN.
Bear bladders and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah, they like impotence, wheezing,
Same thing.
nocturnal
Emissions.
enuresis, and pain, as well as labor induction. Up to 20 million seahorses may be caught each year and sold for such uses, which that's a lot.
Well, with the way that they procreate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think so. But one of the more interesting things that I found out about them was, where did I put in my notes? There's not a lot of fossil record that goes back very far, because apparently a study in 2016 said in Nature magazine found that the seahorse genome is the most rapidly evolving fish genome that's ever been studied. So there's so many different versions, like there's 54 different kinds of seahorses because they're relatively constantly evolving, which was really interesting.
That is very interesting.
You forgot to mention that Aquaman rides a giant one.
Yes, he
around.
does.
Yeah.
That's the 55th.
Oh, okay.
The undiscovered.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Justin. I appreciate that. Fancy fish fact finding figurative family.
What? Famine.
Family. So back when I did the original Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, back in my high school days, this is a topic that I covered a lot. Did a lot of like bad impersonations, a lot of ripping off of Saturday Night Live. The Lewinsky scandal. Bill Clinton, his famous lie. I did not have sex.
I've never heard of
Well,
this.
that
What
one-
happened?
I
Who
did
is
not have
this guy?
sexual relations with that woman. Bill Clinton, of course, was a president. The Lewinsky scandal was an American political sex scandal that involved 49-year-old President Bill Clinton and a 22-year-old White House intern, Monica Lewinsky. The sexual relationship took place between 95 and 96 and came to light in 1998. Clinton ended a televised speech with the statement that he did not have sexual relations with Lewinsky. Further investigations led to charges of perjury and led to the impeachment of President Clinton in 1998 by the U.S. House of Representatives and his subsequent acquittal on all impeachment charges of perjury and obstruction of justice in a 21-day Senate trial. If you remember, the House and the Senate was split at the time. So Bill Clinton became the second president ever impeached after Andrew Johnson because of this. You know, no president, though, has ever forcibly been removed from office. Though. What?
And nothing happened.
And nothing happened. He was held in civil contempt of court by Judge Susan Weber Wright for giving misleading testimony in the Paula Jones case regarding Lewinsky and was also fined $90,000 by Wright. His license to practice law was suspended for 5 years shortly thereafter, and he was disbarred from presenting cases in front of the Supreme Court. But he was still able to be president, of course. Yeah. That was just the if you remember the climate at the time, it was really the Republicans just doing anything they could to try to stop this agenda that was happening because the economy was actually really good in the 90s, and it was back then it was still over like religious stuff, you know, like their abortion and anti-gay stuff and all that stuff. I don't know, but it was very divisive, and I don't know. I remember. I think overall it's kind of dumb. He did perjure himself, but should he have even been asked that question? Well, it is a famous lie. James, elaborate. What do you think?
I mean, you know, it was a lie because of, you know, an accepted redefinition of, you know, sexual relations.
It depends on what the word is. Mean, right?
Yeah,
like, wasn't that?
It
Like,
means, or, yeah.
So weird, so weird. What are your recollections? What are your thoughts, Holshoe? Do you remember that?
I just remember that fucking dress. The pictures of the dress, and the dress was such a big deal in the news and in magazines.
The idea that she saved this dress was weird.
Yeah, dress heard around the world.
Yeah, right.
And it was such a big deal, and I don't know. I just remember. Now, obviously, not a faithful husband. Agreed. Bad president. No. So those are two different. I mean, I'm not saying if you're not married. I mean, if you're married, you shouldn't be a good faithful husband. I'm not saying that, regardless of your position in power. But that being said, one doesn't necessarily mean the other. So
he's not the only great president or president there's even presidents that are considered greater than him that obviously, like Kennedy.
Yeah, who may have.
Oh, come on, John. Anyway, Justin, you're a little bit younger than us. Do you even remember this, or like what?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you remember?
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, obviously the Lewinsky stuff that was all over everything.
Her dress. Oh, what?
I mean, he had. That's the one that everybody remembers, but then he had other stuff like the Whitewater scandal, where he was like all of his investments and stuff like that.
And this is what's remembered.
Yeah,
you know, Whitewater was actually, I think, a bigger deal.
Much more so. But that's not what we're
bigger.
Yeah, people, you know, disappearing under suspicion.
That stuff didn't come out until his wife ran for president.
Yeah.
Man, that whole President Clinton's term, his administration, and that, like, he did a lot of good things, but I think I'm not like a tinfoil hat conspiracy nut or anything like that, but I think that the Clintons have all kinds of stuff in the closet like that. So I'm not. Well,
some would say it's better for it to be in the closet than all over Twitter.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But who knows, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Lewinsky thing, the big lie, that's really all we need to talk about, right?
And don't forget that both him and Hillary appeared in NBA Jam as unlockable characters.
Did they really?
You don't remember that?
No, did they really?
Yeah, you don't remember?
Oh my goodness.
On Sega?
Did he have the saxophone with him?
No, it was just their heads. It was just their heads that they appeared in other people's bodies.
I think you're lying.
No, that's fact. That's my most memorable moment about the Clinton era. It's them being NBA Jam.
So speaking of lies, the band Phish is a very popular band that a lot of people like and think is one of the greatest bands of all time. Okay, I do like Phish.
You said speaking of lies.
I mean,
Yeah,
they have that one song, right? They
That
just
one
play
song?
it like 15 different ways.
Of course, Phish is known for
Jamming.
They're like a jam band. They do a lot of improvisation. That word was hard to come
Easy
out.
for you to
Extended Gen.
improvise.
Yeah. Well, they started at the University of Vermont in 1983, with the current lineup solidifying in 85. The 4 members are Trey Anastasio, who does lead vocals and guitars,
Yeah.
Mike Gordon on bass, John Fishman on drums and percussion, vocals, and he's also said to play the vacuum. So that's a little weird. And Paige McConnell is the keyboardist.
What type of vacuum does he use?
I
A
don't
Hoover?
know. I
And
don't
what
know.
does he play it with?
Oh.
They played all the way until 2000, until they went on a short hiatus. 2002, they came back. They're a huge band. They're Fish heads out there. It's kind of like
Oh,
the
yeah,
Grateful
they've got
Dead.
quite a cult following. Oh, yeah.
I actually do like Fish. I had some of their albums growing up. My Fish phase was like 18 to 22. And I don't really listen to them a lot since then. But I really loved the album Billy Breathes. Was a really good album. And it had the song Character Zero, which is a great song. And it had the song called Waste. Man, what else? Free. There's a song called Free that's really, really good. They have the Farmhouse album, which was really kind of like... I think that was like... They don't get a lot of radio play, at all. They don't get a lot of mainstream attention. But people know who they are, and they're very, very successful, actually, at what they do. And that's not a lie. I do kind of like them, though. Some of my favorite songs are Twist and Rift, Farmhouse, Character Zero, like I said, and Free. Billy Breathes, though, is just a great album. It's anybody here... You guys don't strike me as being Fish fans, are you?
No.
Yeah.
I don't. I have a really strong sense of smell. So I don't know if I could be around that much patchouli and
Oh,
stuff.
I got what you're saying. What about you, Holshoe?
I think they're okay. I'm not a big fan. I don't dislike them by any means. You're right. They're like a jam band. I mean, I like them and I respect them, and they're definitely great musicians. Don't get me wrong. Hoover or whatnot. Bissell, whatever the hell they use. They are great musicians, but a lot of this stuff does sound like one of my friends like dick around on guitar.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make them bad, and they have a great following. I do really like Sample in a Jar that was on Hoist, and I love Farmhouse from the album Farmhouse.
This is our farmhouse.
Yeah, I really like that song. So I don't dislike them by any means, but they're just not one of my favorite bands. I don't have a lot of knowledge of them, but I like them. They're okay.
Speaking of, I like them. They're okay. Justified Justin, what do you think about Fish?
I don't.
You're a little bit younger than us. Do you even remember them?
Well, I mean, I'm aware of them. I don't think I've ever heard a Fish song all the way through.
He's like, it's where old people go to do drugs, right?
A Fish concert.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's
I
not.
had
It's not untrue.
I used to work with this guy named Bill, and if you're listening to this, Bill, I need you to message me and tell me that you heard this. He told us a story one time about him. He followed Fish on a tour around the United States for the entire tour, living out of his 1993 Jeep Cherokee. And I could only think of the scene from the beginning of the Scooby-Doo movie where Scooby and Shaggy are making eggplant burgers in the back of the Mystery Machine.
I don't know. I never saw that movie.
Oh, you really? It's all right.
Yeah.
You're a little older than me.
All right, guys. That's all we got for Fish right there because, they're all right. We're not the biggest fans. I mean, I'm probably more of a fan than you guys, but I wouldn't say I'm a Fish fan. I don't know.
Oh, why do we do a segment about this?
Yeah,
Because it's not lies and fish.
yeah.
This will all be cut
They
out.
do have another thing. There's something on the scene known as fishing out. That's when you've overdone the nitrous and you actually pass out.
Oh, fishing out. Thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, James, you got another segment coming up because it's time for another fantastic fish facts.
I thought they were fancy.
Fantastic fish facts.
That's where you fax us information about fish.
Yes.
Let me go plug the fax machine.
Jumpin' and Jivin' James is going to give us a nice illuminating report on what the toothfish or something.
The Patagonian toothfish.
Is that the one that comes at night and takes your fish from under your your tooth from under your pillow and gives you money?
They take the tooth from under your fish.
From under your fish, and then bring you 2 more fishes.
That's a good deal.
It's an excellent deal.
Except they put them under your pillow, so you wake up and they're just dead.
So the Patagonian toothfish is an ice codfish. So it's a nice white fish.
Oh,
Maybe
delicious.
you could make good fish sticks out of them.
And it's it's a cold water fish, so it's in depth from 45 meters to around 4,000 meters in the southern Atlantic Pacific, from around Chile So it is one of those amazing fish that's super freaking ugly. It has giant like teeth.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a toothfish. And so I think in the 80s they decided to rename it the Chilean sea bass.
Oh, to be more
And so now-
appealing.
Yeah, and so now people pay, because before they couldn't sell it at all, and now people pay upwards of like $16 to $20 a pound for it.
Wow.
And you have to get it like flown in and everything. It's
I have had toothfish.
Ah.
yeah, see, and just like no one would eat it before because it was the Patagonian toothfish.
Yeah.
It didn't sound very appetizing.
Well, thank you very much, Jumpin' and Jivin' James, for giving us that awesome information on the Padawan toothfish.
What kind of, if you were going to eat it, what kind of brush would you clean it with to prepare it?
Oral B.
But yeah, it's an awesome light white flaky fish. Has a nice thin skin on it, so you can leave the skin on for presentation.
Nice.
And it's a bigger fish too, so
Can
you
you
can
eat
get
the
some
skin?
nice sized steaks out of it.
So, we have talked about some of the most famous lies in American history. Watergate, the Lewinsky scandal, Charlie, the tuna.
Is that a lie?
Well, that was the scandal of us not getting
Yeah,
updated
but now
information.
it is time to talk about probably the greatest lie ever perpetrated upon the American public. And it's Milli Vanilli. Milli Vanilli was a German R&B duo from Munich, Germany, because they were German. The group was founded by Frank Farian in 1988 and consisted of Fab Morvan and Rob Pilatus. The group's debut album, Girl, You Know It's True, it achieved international success and earned them a Grammy Award for Best New Artist in February of 1990. Milli Vanilli quickly became one of the most popular pop acts in the late 1980s and the early 90s. Their success quickly turned to infamy when it was revealed and confessed that they had been lip-syncing to other vocal recording artists' work. Of course, it started because one of the tracks at a show got stuck on the girl, you know it's, and Fab just kind of ran off stage, or Rob, I think, just ran off stage. They decided to return the Grammy Awards. They tried to do a comeback, like they did an album right after that. The original, they kind of felt trapped in the whole thing. Like basically they were signed to do this thing. They were given in advance and they went out, and as poor people that all of a sudden got money, they spent it. And then they came back and they were like, okay, you guys, it was really, they just weren't there vocally. So they said, you're going to go ahead and lip sync over what we already have. And if they didn't fulfill their contract, they would have to pay back that advance, which they didn't have. So they went along with it or whatever, but they got caught, and very infamous. They tried to come back together. It didn't work. They tried another comeback in 1998, but unfortunately, Rob Pilatus died, an accidental death involving drugs and alcohol overdosage. A very sad figure, a very sad story. Rob continues, though, to do music today. He's actually
Wait.
very talented.
Fab.
Fab.
Continues. Rob
Fab
is the
I'm
one that's
sorry.
dead.
Fab continues on today doing music, and it's actually pretty good. And he's now performing with what's his name,
John Davis.
John Davis,
who
one
was
of
who was the other guy that sang
yeah,
on the albums originally.
and they perform to huge crowds.
yeah,
in
and Fab
Europe.
is a really good singer. He really is.
He really is. I loved Milli Vanilli. I had the cassette. I blasted it all the time. I thought it was great. I still love some of those songs. What do you think, Hammertime Holshoe? What are your memories of Milli Vanilli?
It's definitely one of those bands where you're like, I'm straight, but man, these guys are good looking. Like, there was no way guys
They
that
are.
look like that can sing like that. Well, of course, and they couldn't, apparently. Because they were models who were selected based on their looks and not so much on their singing ability, come to find out. But, and that's terrible, Rob, but Fab, I would like to just point out, Fab is actually a fantastic singer, and he's improved a lot, but he was a good singer back then. I feel like he got a bad shake out of the whole thing, and he's done some solo stuff, and again, he's done some stuff as Milli Vanilli with John Davis. But man, I remember them being huge, man. Besides "Girl, You Know It's True," "Blame It on the Rain" was a huge
yeah,
song.
man.
I mean, these guys, they had a couple hits, but there was more than that. But those were the two probably biggest ones. Dude, they were huge, man.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
One other little interesting note: when they returned the Grammys, they asked that they be given to the real singers, the real vocalists, and I believe that's what happened there. So this is not
Oh,
like
awesome.
there is no winner. It's still Milli Vanilli, but it was given to the actual vocalists.
Yeah.
Justin, you're a little bit younger than the rest of us. Do you even remember Milli Vanilli?
I'm aware of them. It's funny because that when I was looking at the Wikipedia earlier for this, because we all go to Wikipedia, one of the things said
What's never?
The first public sign that the group was lip syncing came on the 21st of July, 1989, and I would have been about a month and a half old there.
And that was a month after Batman came out, so we were all stuck in Batman fever still. So
Yes, that's
we
true.
weren't caring about that.
I remember it happening though.
It's really, I can imagine it said that one of the executives at MTV noticed their poor English skills.
Yeah, so how
on
the hell can
first
they
interview.
sing like that?
Yeah. That's it goes to show you that
Red
video
flag.
did kill the radio star.
Jumpin' and Jivin' James, thoughts on Milli Vanilli?
She's not the girl from Stranger Things. I got that confused. Just for the record.
Milli Vanilli Brown.
Yeah, no,
Milli Vanilli Bobby Brown? Now that would have been a cool album.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I remember, listening to it all the time, and I was severely let down when I, there was never going to be another album
I know the next album could have been dope, man.
because it was all.
Well, they
fake.
actually released it though as the real Milli Vanilli, and it tanked because people liked Rob and Fab because, like John said, they're incredibly gorgeous looking dudes, man.
Yeah.
Like seriously.
But then they released another album. Rob and Fab released an album.
Yeah,
right?
they under a different name.
Yeah, it wasn't very commercially available. I mean, they sold like how many copies?
2,000
they sell?
copies
But wasn't
they
it a small company that couldn't even distribute and
Yeah,
couldn't
but they
put
were
on
on the
videos?
Arsenio Hall show.
Yes,
I
they
remember
were.
that. So I loved it. I still love that song, man. Especially "Girl, You Know It's True."
Yeah.
Girl, you know it's true. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. 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 So there was a movie called Fish Called Wanda.
There was.
I remember watching it probably in my early 20s and enjoying it because it's got like John Cleese and Michael Palin from
Yeah.
Monty Python.
Yep, both of mine.
Right? It's got Kevin Kline
Yep,
and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
They
from Halloween
they did a second film. It's not really a sequel, but it's the same
Fierce
cast.
Creatures.
Fierce Creatures.
Yep, same cast.
Yeah, same cast. John has just recently watched this. You watched this just like yesterday or the day before.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about it.
I'm not going to say it doesn't hold up well. It feels dated, but it's a great cast. It's funny. It's a phenomenal cast. Kevin Kline as Otto is such a dick. And I think that's where Mary Catherine or whatever. Remember the SNL skit where she always smelled her armpits? I think she got it from that because he keeps smelling his armpits, and I don't know if he does it to calm himself. He smells his armpits a lot in the film. I'm like, maybe that's where she got it from because I didn't realize that when I first had watched it.
Okay.
So great cast. So basically, they're a bunch of. They steal a bunch of diamonds, and they end up betraying one of the people who gets caught. And Otto, played by Kevin Kline, is pretending to be the brother of Jamie Lee Curtis, and then she's also trying to seduce this barrister, this defending lawyer, played by John Cleese. It's just kind of what unravels. It's obviously a comedy about a heist. It's a great cast, though. It's such a good cast. Michael Palin's awesome as the pet lover who has to keep assassinating these dogs.
Yes, that's right.
But he's an animal. He's got all these PETA posters wherever, and he keeps assassinating these, and he feels so
I remember
terrible. It's a great cast. One of the things I noticed I was going to point out was that John Cleese's character's name is Archie Leach. Well, Leach, first off, is an aquatic creature, fish called Wanda, and Archie Leach is actually Cary Grant's real name.
Real.
Cary Grant is
Yes,
a stage
Archibald
name.
Leach.
Yeah,
I didn't realize
exactly.
Cary Grant was a fish.
Yeah, and then I was also going to point out the end of the
Makeup,
film
dude. Makeup.
ends with Finn in French, right? Finn. But get it? What?
Yeah.
It's called what?
Finn.
Yeah, anyway. Those are the,
Okay. Do you remember? Did you ever watch the movie, Justin?
I haven't. It was on my Netflix queue at one point, and I went to actually watch it one
Oh, yeah,
night,
it's
and it got
gone.
taken off.
Yeah,
I
they took
hate
it
it when
off.
that happens.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer.
You finally
though. It
have
looks
the
good.
time, and it's gone.
What about you, James? I know you've seen it.
Oh yeah, it's been years, but it's one of those. It's a raucous good time.
Rocket's good time. All right, guys, that's the end of the segment. I think that was a good segment, guys. A lot of cool fish and lies. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to be right back after this break, but before we go, it's time for the thought of the day. Today's thought of the day comes from Otto von Bismarck. People never lie so much as after a hunt, during a war, or before an election. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsors here on Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, Lies, and Fish. Woo! Yeah!
Yeah.
Boy, they sure don't make them like they used to, do they? This country's going to hell in a handbasket. What kind of community do we live in when one of the biggest corporations out there lies to the American people consistently? Hello, everybody. I'm Lenny Fishbottom. I'm going to tell you about my 100% authentic goldfish crackers. See, other companies like to tell you they got goldfish crackers, and then you find out when you look at the ingredients, if you look at them, that they ain't nothing but lying to you. They ain't not a damn bit of goldfish in them crackers. Well, let me tell you something. This cracker makes 100% authentic goldfish crackers. And I'm not going to lie to you. That's something my grandpappy told me. He told me, Lenny, you never lie to people about what you sell them. Because if you sell them something, you lie about it, they'll never buy from you again. Well, I'm going to make a customer life out of you. If you want 100% authentic goldfish crackers without the lies, come on by and try Lenny Fishbottom's 100% authentic goldfish crackers. And I'll tell you what, if there's not a single bit of goldfish in them crackers, this cracker's going to let you crack a lacquer. So check us out on the bottom shelf, underneath all the lies. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rockin' with Rockin Robbie. I am your host, Rockin Robbie. With me is Jumpin and Jivin James. Woo! Woo! Hey! Hammertime Holshoe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah! And Justified Justin. And we are talking about lies and fish. And we start this segment with my very own fancy, fantastic fish facts. The swordfish, also known as broadbills in some country, are large, highly migratory, predatory fish characterized by a long, flat bill. They are a popular sport fish of the billfish category, though elusive. Swordfish are elongated, round-bodied, and they lose all their teeth and scales by adulthood. These fish are found widely in tropical and temperate parts of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, and can be typically found from near the surface to a depth of 550 meters. For you Americans, which I am one of you, 1,800 feet. Contrary to popular belief, the sword is not used to spear, but instead may be used to slash at its prey to injure the animal to make it easier to catch. Mainly, the swordfish relies on its great speed and agility in the water to catch its prey. It is undoubtedly among the fastest fish, period.
It's very hydrodynamic.
Yes. A lot of people eat swordfish, and it's become quite a delicacy, a very expensive thing, but they are classified as an oily fish. And many sources, including the United States Food and Drug Administration, or as we like to call it, the US FDA, warns about the potential toxicity from high levels of mercury in swordfish. The FDA recommends that young children, pregnant women, and women of childbearing age not eat swordfish. Plus, there was a really badass swordfish Zord in a season of Power Rangers.
Yeah,
Of course,
blue.
It was blue, and it was pretty badass. So that's swordfish. I always thought swordfish looked cool, and it's interesting to know that they don't have teeth as
That
adults.
is weird.
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought they had teeth.
Well, they don't.
Chew up their food with their sword.
They might just swallow it.
And now it's time to talk about probably one of the greatest lies being perpetrated on America right now, because Milli Vanilli's over. And that's this whole thing about fake news and alternative facts. So let's talk about this real quick, because fake news has risen. It's also referred to as hoax news, but it doesn't sound as cool as fake news. They deliberately publish hoaxes, propaganda, and disinformation purporting to be real news, often using social media to drive web traffic and amplify the effect. Unlike news satire, fake news websites seek to mislead rather than entertain. And they do this for financial, political, or other gain. We are all victims of this. The internet has become this crazy source of information, and of course, this has risen out of it because it translates to dollars. People believe things that cognitive bias, right? People want to see opinions and information that confirm beliefs they already have, and fake news sites kind of like prey on that. Justified Justin, what do you think about this whole rise of fake news? And how can we like prevent it?
It's been around for a long time. It's just fake news is become so popular in this because it's never been so political. It's finally just gotten to a point where people are so mad about something. Somebody posts something on some website, 24/7 News, 365, slushy puppy, monkeyknot.com. I'm reading stuff off the wall.
You're just reading stuff off the wall. That's great.
But like it's really easy. I mean, you can do research in like 45 seconds and see if it's true. And also, if you're on a news, quote unquote, website that has more ads on it than other articles on that site and actual story,
Yeah.
it's probably not true.
Jumpin and Jivin James, what about your thoughts on the rise of fake news and what we can do to prevent its influence in our personal lives?
Well, I think the craziest thing about it is why it's coming to such a light right now is because it's being re-reported by real news websites sometimes, and also like apparently our president gets his news from there too.
Yeah, and the media's backed in a corner right now.
And he's already been caught several times talking about terrorist attacks that didn't happen.
Yeah,
Bowling Green, the thing in Switzerland yesterday.
Yeah.
morning.
And he's like, "Oh, I got that from Fox News, Sweden, right? Was it Sweden?
Yeah,
Sweden. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
The Swiss are like, what?
he doesn't. It's just weird. Like you think he kind of only watches Fox News, and then apparently he does. Look stuff up on the internet.
Now, would you say, though, that, like, for instance, I wouldn't call Fox News fake news. I would call it skewed news.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a liberal, I read Huffington Post, but I know that I'm doing it. And I hope most conservatives know that what they're watching when they watch Fox News.
Yeah.
So I understand that, and that's been a big problem. But, like, just the sites that they just play. And we understand ad revenue and all that stuff on the websites, John, right? And like, there's a lot of money that can be made with this when you get a lot of people trafficked with clickbait articles and all this kind of stuff, right? What can we do? Like, what would you recommend to our viewers or listeners out there? And, like, what do you do to combat this?
Well, I mean, the first thing is don't rely on your social media for your news. Like, I personally have, stopped logging into Facebook nearly as much as I used to. So, because, I mean, if I get a news article, I want it to be like, something I looked up or something else I'm reading.
Not just something
leading
thrown
into
at you,
that.
like a commercial,
Yeah.
Avoid social media. That's, like, a really, really good tactic to have to avoid the whole thing. Seriously. If you just go to your trusted sites and all that, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you want news, go to CNN, or, if you really want to go to Fox News, go there.
And what's crazy is you go on some of these sites and to look up a list of fake news sites, and some of these sites list CNN, ABC, NPR as, like, fake news sites. And it's so silly. Like, it's become a defense. Trump uses it right now. President Trump uses it, where he'll be like, what did you hear? Oh, what did the polls say? That's fake news. That's fake news.
Oh my God, dude! Don Lemon went off on a guy that was on his show a couple days ago.
Oh yeah,
he was talking about I can't remember the story, but he referred to Fox News as fake news or something that CNN posted online as fake news. And Don Lemon like stopped him. He's like, "No, all right, stop talking for a second. This is what fake news is." And he lined it out, and then the guy said it again, and he just ended the segment.
Nice. Yeah. John, what about the rise of fake news? What can we do to prevent its influence on our lives?
I think we need to just cut ourselves off from everything outside the world except for the podcast. You should still listen, subscribe to YouTube.
Get all your news here.
No, I think you're right. Social media is probably the biggest issue. Use
outdated news about Charlie the
Yeah. Or social networks probably the issues. Use social networks for socializing with your friends and for checking out pop culture philosophers, but maybe not so much for getting your news. And there's always fact checking, man. Go ahead and check things, because sometimes you get half truths is the problem. Alternative facts, or somebody said so and so, and like, oh, that's not right. Oh well, he also said, like, oh, okay, never mind. I mean, anything out of context could be highly. I mean, shit. Some of the stuff we said tonight out of context could be terrible.
Yeah,
most of the stuff we said was terrible anyway.
Yes,
we're doing this more for comedy, but. Just fact check it, man. You can easily go and check any of the shit that you read or see, and also realize that if you're on social networks, yeah, you're right. A lot of stuff you're going to be fed to you, probably because you're in the same people who are in the same, maybe have the same viewpoint as you, so you're connected to those people. So they're going to share things that may always, I don't know, kind of line up with their values. They may not be true. I'm just saying, just fact.
And that's called an echo
shit.
chamber.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Just fact check that shit. That's all I'm saying.
Dude,
There's
if
a
you-
lot of information available online, so you can look stuff up, and that's all. Just keep.
If you ever read anything that makes you really, really, really angry or really, really, really happy, you should probably Google it and see if other people have said the same thing about it.
Yeah.
From
just-
reputable sources.
Absolutely. All right, back in the day, there was a band called Fishbone. You guys remember Fishbone?
Yeah.
Do you guys like Fishbone?
Yeah, they're,
I like
they're pretty good.
them.
Yeah,
Huge on
that
ska.
song, you know.
I like them. All right, moving on. Fish Police. Anybody remember that? Because I don't. John, tell us about Fish Police.
Fish Police was an awesome, very serious crime drama. No, it wasn't a crime drama. It was a short-lived animated series. So, in the early '90s, with the success of The Simpsons, all the networks wanted to bring back an animated primetime show. So we had Capital Critters, if you recall that. You had The Family Dog, if you recall that. And now you have Fish Police. This was a series by Hanna-Barbera that was a more serious, not serious, but I'd say the humor was kind of maybe darker, more adult-oriented, called Fish Police. It was based on the Fish Police comic. This is early 90s, and it didn't do so well. They made 6 episodes, only aired 3 in the U.S. I believe all 6 were aired in Europe.
So that's the reason you're the only person who remembers this.
Yeah. Well, I remember it because, first off, the comic's actually good. The comic actually, that it's based on, actually had some cool stories, versus the show, and this is why the show got bashed. It was just every joke they tried to squeeze a fish joke in there. You know, any chance they could. But it did have a great cast, man. So the main guy was voiced by John Ritter. Also had Tim Curry, Buddy Hackett, Ed Asner, Phil Hartman. I could go on. There's so many people.
What
Megan
channel did
Mullally.
this come on?
It was CBS.
Oh yeah.
So it was very short-lived and it had a great cast. But again, it didn't. All these shows, unfortunately, Fish Police, Family Dog, Capital Critters,
Cop Rock.
yeah, all these shows failed. None of these shows could live up. You know, they wanted to go after The Simpsons, and unfortunately, yeah, it didn't work out.
Do you guys remember Cop Rock? It's totally off the subject.
I don't remember
No.
Cop Rock.
It was a musical police drama in the early 90s, and it was so bad.
It's a cartoon.
No, it was live action.
Huh.
It was really, look it up. I'll show you some stuff.
Okay.
All right. John, thank you. Fish Police. I never knew.
Well, watch it. It's funny.
Were there toys?
I think they probably were going to market it toys and everything. It just wasn't around long enough.
Yeah. That's why I don't remember that. Because I remember James Bond Jr. Just
James
because
Bond
of toys.
Jr. Nah, 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 nah. He never had kids, but it's his nephew. So does he have a sister? But he's a single kid.
Well, James Bond's just a code name.
But
That's my
James
theory.
Bond Jr. claims that James Bond is his uncle.
I understand that. But James Bond Jr. had a really cool toy car.
I guess James Bond gets married. That could be his sister's, like, brother's kid or something. I mean, it makes more
He
sense
did get
now.
married.
Maybe this kid's a fucking liar.
He is a spy. Speaking of lies. Not speaking of lies. Speaking of lies. No. So we've talked a lot about fish, and of course, fish is very popular as far as culinary isms. So people like to eat fish.
Fuck
right?
the fish stuff. I want to talk more about James Bond Jr.
Hold on. So, fish, and a lot of people eat fish. I used to love eating fish. I am now, of course, a vegetarian. One type of fish I still do eat is goldfish crackers.
Delicious.
Delicious goldfish crackers. So, Justified Justin Goldsmith is going to tell us a little bit about goldfish crackers. From
Justified goldfish.
It's Pepperidge Farm, right? Pepperidge.
They
I think a lot
smile
of
back,
people make-
which is kind of creepy.
They do smile back.
It is Pepperidge Farm. However, it all began with a love story.
What? Get the fuck out.
During a stay in the French part of Switzerland, young Oscar Cambly met a girl from the village of Tripskaken.
Can you repeat that for the people that may have missed it?
Wait, I think you might have whispered it a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, what was that?
Trubskaken.
I buy it.
Look it up.
Okay.
And he soon could not imagine a life without her. Thus, after graduating from school, he followed his beloved to her farming village in Immental, where he learned his new trade as a baker and a confectioner at the village bakery. After acquiring a more in-depth professional experience abroad, he returned to his village, the village of his love, took over the bakery as the bakery of his master, and started his own business together with his new wife. Soon, the village bakery became too small, and in 1910, Oscar Cambly established a company called Cambly assisted by his brother Paul, and they transformed the bakery into a biscuit factory. During wartime, blah, 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 blah. In 1958...
You're going to gloss over
They
the wartime?
In 1958, they created the goldfish cracker.
Oh, that's what we're getting to. Okay.
Okay, here's the good stuff.
Yeah,
The meat.
yes. And then in 1959 or 60, somewhere around in there, Margaret Rudkin, the Pepperidge Farm founder, saw them and then copied them.
Oh wow!
Oh, shit.
And they became available in the United States in 1962 after they had been in Switzerland for 4 years. The original flavor, which I had completely even forgotten that cheese was not the actual original flavor.
Whoa, really?
Cheddar is not the original.
Liver was the
There,
original.
there is actually a goldfish original, and it's basically like a saltine.
Yeah,
I was
Shaped
worried you
like
were going
a
to say
fish.
fish.
just
Like
a
fish
regular
flavor.
cracker. Just
Yeah.
regular cracker.
And that's what the original
like the
ones
oyster
were.
crackers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're
Basically,
right.
yeah.
That makes sense.
And that's what the original ones were, which are still sold today.
Wait. So if those aren't goldfish at all, then
No.
They're
They're
shaped
not
like
gold.
goldfish.
Are they
so
shaped
she
like
didn't
goldfish?
steal it then,
And they look kind of yellow because they get toasted.
So she didn't really steal it. When
Sounds
she
like
added
she
the
stole
cheddar.
it.
She made it her
No,
own
there
thing.
was still the original saltine flavor was the original goldfish flavor.
They eventually branched out.
Yeah, now there are
Now that
39 different flavors
Holy
of goldfish.
shit.
Wow, I knew there was a lot, but there are because
have-
there's pretzel ones.
chocolate
There's-
mint.
Original cheddar, whole grain cheddar, Parmesan, pretzel, pizza, ranch, baby, miniature crackers.
Oh,
like
yeah.
15 different kinds
The
of
rainbow
grams.
ones. Remember that?
Nacho, queso fiesta, which I have never heard of. White cheddar, sour cream and onion, barbecue, rainbow, cupcake, whole grain pretzel,
I've had sour
explosive
cream and
pizza,
onion.
I like the rainbow.
rainbow, fudge brownie, mix-ups, pretzel and cheddar extreme, puffs, cheddar bacon, mac and cheese, sauce con queso, buffalo wing, twisted grilled cheese, sizzling hot wings, barbecue, cheeseburger, extreme zingy chili lime, and extreme screaming hot, which I've never heard of and I want.
I do too.
I'm pretty sure you said barbecue twice.
They come in a bag.
Well, the second barbecue was a puff flavor.
They
'Cause
come
there's
in-
ju-
They come in those little bags, like most Pepperidge Farm things do, right? By the way, Pepperidge Farm, love their stuff.
They're dead to me now since they stole the idea, but okay.
They
Unless
come
they
in
want to
cartons.
sponsor the show.
Yeah, they used to come in like milk carton type
They still
things,
do.
and they still do. And I remember at like Sam's or Costco, you can get like a giant one.
Yeah, like the gallon size.
Yeah,
a gallon of goldfish.
Do they still have that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure
They do.
Yeah, thank you, Justin.
You're welcome.
Goldfish crackers, a love story,
All starts with a love
treachery, betrayal, lies.
Thievery.
Speaking of lies, it brings us to the end of lies and fish. But first, I want to ask everybody one more question. Earlier, I asked you what was the biggest lie that you've ever told. Some people, didn't really say much. But is lying necessary? Jump into Java James.
Without lies, there is no truth.
Wow, I should have went to you last. Hammertime Holshoe, what do you think?
I do think there's such a thing as lies to protect people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You say things make people feel better about themselves. Like, I got this new car. And like, maybe you're not a fan of that manufacturer because they make shitty cars. And you're like, oh, that's a great car. But you'd be nice to make people, you don't want to shit on people's dreams or
Yeah.
hopes or happiness. Oh, I've been dieting for 6 months. I look skinnier. Yeah, you look fantastic.
Yeah.
You say things make people feel better. I
Yeah,
don't
that
think there's
red
anything wrong
Mustang
with
doesn't
that.
make you look like a tool.
Yeah. Wait a minute. So I think that's okay to sugarcoat things, and then also you got to realize that we live in a world of there's many different countries, and sometimes you got to. I'm just saying.
What?
I don't think. I'm going to say that no in the world of
We live in a world.
I think I dig what you're saying.
Of many
There's different
countries.
there's different contexts of the truth.
there's
So sometimes things aren't necessily a lie when
Well,
they're originally said.
in a world
Or-
of we've got a lot of enemies in this world. I hate to say it, but in a world of being defensive, you go on the offense. Sometimes you lie about things to your enemy. When the British invented radar, and they said, "How are you guys detecting these
the
planes
character from MASH?
from so far away?" In World War II, the British actually said, "Oh, you know what? Our eyes are great because we eat a lot of carrots." I shit you not, and that's where that misconception comes from. That carrots give
Yeah.
you—that's a lie.
Fake
give you
news.
Give
Yeah.
you great vision, but the British didn't want to admit they invented radar because they didn't want the Germans to know it.
The
So-
character from MASH.
God damn it!
Yes.
Actual radar. So I think when it comes to protecting oneself, I think a lie is important, especially when it comes to the military. Which I kind of get off in a rant about the military.
Yeah,
But now you
just
learned
a little bit.
Now you learned a little bit about carrots and radar.
And the fact that it's a world made up of countries.
Yes.
God damn it.
Justin, is lying necessary?
We're just gonna cut out this whole part.
John, that was a great job.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it's better than mine. I mean, yeah.
Okay. No, I agree with what you guys say, I guess.
I mean, not like every day to everybody for no reason
Be a
whatsoever.
pathological, chronological liar.
Yeah.
Chronological liar?
In
I
order.
It's
lie in
always
order.
good to lie in order.
It's less confusing if you lie in order.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I mean, don't
memento
be
things.
shitty.
Yeah, no doubt. We've all been in foot and mouth situations before.
Yeah.
Usually because you're being maybe a little too truthful. Right? I don't know. But here's the other question. The other side of that. Is fish necessary? I say hell yeah. Justin?
Yeah.
James?
I like fish.
Yes.
John?
What would I put with my tartar sauce?
You would just eat
I would just
tartar
have
sauce.
all this tartar sauce.
I've seen you eat tartar sauce.
Yeah, I like it. I use it to freshen up.
That's gross.
All right, thank you guys for listening to this exhilarating episode of Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie, exclusive on YouTube. Pop Culture Philosophers, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I'm assuming you have since you're like an hour into this episode. But thank you guys so much. Check us out at popculturephilosophers.com. There's other podcasts there. Of course, check out the main podcast, Pop Culture Philosophers. You get the brand newest episodes on iTunes, Android services. Brand newest, all that stuff. Super good show. We like it. I appreciate everyone being here. Justify Justin?
Thank you for having me.
Always. Jumpin' and Jivin' James.
Lie to people. Just a little.
John, we got a Pop Culture Philosophers episode coming up very, very soon that Justin will be on, as well as Jason from RCR Reviews.
It's about countries.
It's about countries. We're going to be talking about the work of Quentin Tarantino.
He's from this country, actually.
He is. He's from this country. And he doesn't have a new movie coming out or anything, but we're doing a Quentin Tarantino podcast.
Why are we? Because he's a great director.
Yes, because he's a great director. Also, be sure to stay tuned. We got an all-new Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie coming up very, very soon. And in fact, the next episode will be...
Smize and Schmish.
all about the Benjamins. Part 4!
Oh, shit.
I can't believe we're on 4.
We're on part 4, all about the Benjamins. Yes, old-time fans will know what we're talking about. If you haven't, check it out. The episodes are there on YouTube. All about the Benjamins. Number 4 coming up. I appreciate everybody being here. Hammertime Holshoe.
It's awesome. I love this show. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Indeed. Coming to you live from the Huntsville Attic. This was Rockin' with Rockin' Robbie. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thank you once again. I can't thank you enough, but is it a lie or is it a fish? Thanks for rocking with us. Catch you next time.